The sky above New Carthage burned in silent streaks of fire as alien warships pierced the upper atmosphere and cast shadows that swallowed entire cities in darkness. And in that terrible hour, when every screen across the planet flickered with images of descending fleets, humanity did not kneel for 3 generations. The Orion Dominion had ruled half the spiral arm. Their fleets unstoppable, their doctrine simple: conquer, extract, move on. And when their long-range probes found Earth rich in oceans, minerals, and restless intelligence, they predicted a brief campaign followed by efficient occupation. They expected surrender. Instead, they found Defiance General Marcus. Hale stood in the underground command bunker beneath what had once been a coastal research institute. The sea above, now choked with alien carrier forms that floated like iron continents. And around him, holographic projections displayed casualty reports, evacuation routes, and the cold geometry of enemy formations. The first strike had shattered orbital defenses in minutes. Human satellites burned. Space stations fell, and the proud ships of the United Earth Fleet were torn apart by beams that bent light itself. Yet even as debris rained down in blazing arcs, emergency transmitters carried a single unified broadcast across every surviving. Chanawi, do not yield. The message repeated in every language, the Dominion commander observing from orbit. A being of cold intellect and crystalline thought, calculated probabilities and concluded resistance would collapse within 72 hours. Because history had taught the Dominion that fear dissolved unity faster than any weapon they underestimated. Humanity and the second-day cities were struck with precision bombardments meant to demonstrate power rather than exterminate. Towers crumbled, power grids failed, and millions fled inland under skies that glowed with unnatural auroras from alien engines. Yet within the chaos, something unexpected formed. Volunteers, mechanics converted cargo haulers into armored transports. Programmers turned gaming networks into encrypted communication webs. Farmers mapped hidden supply trails through mountain passes. And old satellites thought obsolete were reactivated with improvised code that made them unpredictable. The Dominion deployed ground forces on the third day, tall, exoskeletal constructs with adaptive shields, descended in columns of light and marched through the ruins of coastal capitals. Expecting disorganized militias instead, they met coordinated ambushes. Human soldiers did not match the invaders in raw power, but they adapted when Dominion shields deflected plasma rounds. Humans shifted to kinetic penetrators when exoskeletons absorbed concussive force. Engineers altered frequencies and turned industrial mining lasers into resonance disruptors. When drones hunted heat signatures, entire battalions fought from flooded tunnels, and frozen terrain. Losses were staggering, but so was the cost inflicted. General Hale watched reports flow in and saw a pattern the Dominion had not predicted. Every defeat taught humans something. Every destroyed weapon became a lesson. Every fallen city a laboratory of resistance. In orbit, the Dominion commander recalculated projected occupation. Time extended, resource expenditure rose, psychological models began to fracture. Humanity did not fracture across continents. Leaders who had once argued over trade and borders now shared strategies in real time. The invasion erased old divisions with brutal clarity. Survival demanded unity. Young engineer named Elias Navarro worked in a subterranean factory carved into the bedrock of a mountain range far from the first strikes. He had once designed fusion reactors for civilian grids. Now he and thousands like him reconfigured those reactors into pulse cannons, capable of launching dense slugs into low orbit. The cannons were crude compared to Dominion weaponry. They did not need to be elegant, they needed to be relentless. When the first barrage fired, the recoil shook the mountain and sent avalanches down distant slopes. But one Dominion cruiser staggered as a tungsten projectile pierced its hull at a velocity no shield had been tuned to counter. The
cruiser burn across the world, people saw
a streak of alien metal fall through the atmosphere, trailing fire, and for the first time since the invasion began, cheers rose louder than sirens in orbit. The Dominion commander faced a truth that defied doctrine. Humans learned faster under pressure than any species recorded in Dominion archives. Occupation was no longer efficient, it was costly. The Dominion escalated to orbital Platforms aligned for a planetary strike meant to end resistance in a single demonstration of overwhelming force general. Hall knew what that alignment meant humanity could not intercept. Every platform, but it did not need to. Elias and his team had completed a prototype days earlier. A networked pulse array that could overload shield harmonics by synchronizing thousands of ground emitters across continents. It required perfect timing. It required cooperation from nations that weeks earlier had barely trusted each other. It required faith as Dominion platforms charged. The sky above Earth shimmered with gathering energy, and in bunkers, submarines, deserts, forests, and frozen tundra, human operators waited for a single signal. Hail gave it across the globe, emitters activated in precise sequence, their pulses weaving through the atmosphere in invisible threads that converged on orbital targets, and for a fraction of a second, Dominion shields encountered something new. A waveform born not from advanced alien science but from combined human improvisation. The shields collapsed, not all but enough human cannons fired against projectiles, tore in two. Exposed platforms and detonations blossomed like brief suns, and orbit fragments rained harmlessly into oceans rather than cities. The planetary strike failed, and the Dominion command vessel's silence stretched across crystalline minds as probability. Matrices shattered. Humans were not merely resisting, they were innovating faster than projected models could update. The commander requested reinforcement fleets. Response from Dominion high authority was measured cost-benefit analysis, no longer favored total conquest. Spiral arm held easier targets. Earth was designated a resistant anomaly. Withdrawal authorized on the 7th day. The alien fleet shifted formation. Prepared for another assault. Instead, ships began to rise from the atmosphere and retreat beyond sensor range. No grand announcement, no negotiation, just departure across battle-scarred continents. People watched the sky clear for the first time in a week. The cost had been unbearable. Cities lay in ruined, oceans were scarred with debris. Millions mourned, but humanity stewed. General Hale emerged from the bunker into sunlight, filtered through lingering smoke, and felt something stronger than relief: resolve. Because the invasion had revealed more than alien hostility, had revealed human potential. Elias stood beside a shattered cannon barrel and looked up at a sky suddenly vast and quiet. He understood that the Dominion would speak of Earth as a costly mistake. A world not worth subjugating. Humans would remember it differently. As proof, in the months that followed, reconstruction began with the same intensity as resistance. Alien wreckage was studied, reverse-engineered, and integrated into new defenses. Orbital shipyards were rebuilt stronger, fleets redesigned with lessons written in loss. Humanity did not prepare for revenge, it prepared for resilience. Transmission was crafted and broadcast into deep space on frequencies the Dominion would recognize. It carried no threat, only a statement this world endures. Years later, Dominion scouts passing at extreme range recorded something unexpected. Earth now fielded patrol vessels that matched Dominion escorts in speed and shield efficiency. Planetary defenses pulsed with signatures derived from hybrid technology. Inhuman signals extended outward, not in desperation but in exploration. The Dominion marked Earth as sovereign. Territory engagement discouraged trade possible. The label was simple: unyielding species within. Human history, the invasion became a turning point taught to every generation. Children learned how mechanics became strategists, how engineers became defenders, how strangers became allies. They learned that fear could unite as powerfully as hope. They learned that humanity does not yield in somewhere beyond mapped space. The Dominion commander, who had once predicted a swift victory, reviewed archived battle data and acknowledged a rare conclusion: conquest had limits. Human determination did not. The spiral arm adjusted to a new balance of power where once the Dominion expanded without question. Now it calculated carefully around a blue world whose people had turned invasion into transformation. Human ships ventured farther each decade, carrying with them the memory of burning skies and the certainty that survival was not granted but forged. They did not seek domination, they sought strength, because when darkness fell and alien fleets descended, humanity had faced extinction and answered with unity, and unity had been enough. Humanity doesn't yield.